Okay, so first of all, let's go through a flowchart that Lynn put together, and it's just gives you an idea of the process flow for the SMS2. So first step, of course, a student goes to your program's web page and you lead them along and explain what's all expected of them or what have you, and then you take them to their registration link. That brings them to their online form, which is the SMS online form, which inputs all the data into the SMS. And as soon as they submit that registration form, an email is automatically sent to them. And this email, basically it welcomes them to your program and explains what they need to get their documentation to the office and get going on their course and stuff like that. This email is totally customizable by your program, so you can kind of explain what you expect from the student to do to pursue this course. And as a result of that registration request, the student ends up in the SMS, so the office can see them now. And their status at this point is requested. So they're not in any course or anything. They're waiting for the next step. And so really the next step is an improvement from SMS1. We did lots of surveying of what process anybody would like to see different. There was just one main thing, and that was that they would like students not to be able to jump into the courses immediately, because chasing down the documentation afterwards was a bit of a headache. So they decided that the little bit more slowdown at the beginning, put it on the students to get the documentation. Once the students have the documentation, then they get going in the course. And so that's been working well for us, and it was a good move there. So the office, at this point, the office sees them and there is waiting for their documentation. So for the majority of students with the email, their documentation comes in and off they go. Certainly for some of them, the office has all their information, so they see somebody who's been sitting as requested for a little while. They can contact them, see what the holdup is. Perhaps they change their mind. They're doing a course in school or whatever. But anyways, they can follow that up. And from there, should they change their mind, then they can just drop them at that point. But once they receive the documentation for the majority of the students, then the office just verifies ID. And so they can just click buttons saying which ID, the birth certificate or care card or both or whatever. And once they click those and say the ID has been verified, then the status changes for the student in the SMS, and they now are enrolled into their course that you verified them for. And also the student, once you verified their ID, automatically gets their second email. And this is the email with their username and password and how to get started on the course. So at this point, the students are in the course and beginning their studies. Also note that following the verification of the ID, the student data can be synced with your local MyEdBC information. This is an optional feature, but it does work good, and basically it's just a way to make sure that your information in the MyEdBC and your SMS jive, and it's all common there. So once the student is in the course, then the course's teacher sees them arrive. So teachers, of course, can see all the students in their course. And so once the student's been verified, then they are automatically enrolled in their course, and they become visible to the teacher both in the SMS under their course list, but also in Moodle, they suddenly see them as one of their participants. The teacher keeps track of them, and within the SMS, I'll show you a little bit later, but it's got a couple of columns so you can see how far they are into the course, and you can also see their current grade in the course. So you can kind of keep an eye on all your students and where they're at with things. But once you have an enrolled student that has reached the 5% in the course, then the teacher can identify them as active. And with being active, it brings up a little calendar. You identify the activation date, and suddenly their status is active. And it doesn't make any difference to the student. They just carry on as per normal. But now in the SMS, you've time-stamped and everything like that, the activation of this student. Otherwise, if the student, doesn't get to the point of activating and you've chased them down and they basically, I don't know, change their mind or whatever happens with that, then the other choice for the teacher at this point is that they can change it to dropped. So it automatically knows that once they're enrolled, you only have two choices, to activate or to drop the student. And so once active, the student's enrollment is added to the MyEdBC by the office, and the teacher's options now are to complete the student or withdraw them. So that's the flow of the system, and from here on in, we'll just kind of hit at some of the details and what each of these pieces of flow looks like within the SMS.